Love shouldn't be defined by someone's diagnosis. Like, these kids they come into the world and they teach you so much. Like, they definitely do have a story to tell. You know, it's the greatest joy that you can ever have, is to have a child, and it doesn't matter what diagnosis they have. It's just all they need is love. And I was actually still in college. In my final year of college, I was studying social care down in Waterford, and one day I just had a feeling that I was pregnant, and done a test and found out. And then so the sonographer came in and she said that, I think your baby has a genetic condition, and she said it would either be Down syndrome or Edwards syndrome or Pate syndrome. And she said that I would have to send off for genetic testing to see which one it was. So we arranged to come back then, and I came back and I had an amniocensus done at 16 weeks. I got offered that earlier on, but I wanted to wait a little bit longer just because there is a chance of miscarriage with them. And I remember it was just after Christmas on the 7th of January, and she actually rang me with the results, and I remember I just knew when I answered the phone. I was just like, she goes, your baby has Edwards syndrome. And I just remember I went out to my mum. I got off the phone as quick as I could and went out to my mum, and I just cried on her shoulder. I just said, Mum, he has Edwards syndrome. And it sounds bad, but when I was told about it, because with Down syndrome and Pate syndrome, there was more of a chance that the child would live. So I suppose I didn't know much about Edwards syndrome, so I just prayed it wasn't that, and then it was. So I just broke down. I didn't know what to do, because the only thing they told me is that he wouldn't survive, and there was no hope basically for him. And they used the words incompatible with life. So for the rest of my pregnancy, it was mostly just about making memories, taking pictures of my bump, singing to him, reading stories. Even to this day, I still like the story of Peter Pan, they never grow up. And I actually read that to Ayla now as well. So when I was pregnant, it just felt like, you know, when you hear them words, Edwards syndrome, or it doesn't even have to be Edwards syndrome, any life-limiting condition, everyone just seems to give up. But I didn't want to give up on Noah. I wanted him to make his own choice, and if he wanted to pass whenever he passed, or if he wanted to meet us, then that was his choice. But I wasn't going to be the one to determine whether he lived or died. So that was really important to me, that it was on his terms and not doctors or anyone else. And I remember I was actually, because I got quite sick on Noah, I ended up getting preeclampsia. And I remember a doctor coming in to me and goes, you might as well just be induced now, because it's not going to make a difference, he's going to die anyway. And I just turned around and I said, like, how could you say that? Like, you've no idea what this baby is going to do. Like, they might live for an hour or two minutes, but, you know, getting to meet my baby was the most important thing for me. Getting to hold them and just to look at their eyes, their hair, and like, these are things that you treasure forever. And I'm really lucky that I got to meet Noah and hold him, but years ago there was girls out there, and you know, they never got to meet or hold their babies. They were just taken off and they were never seen again. So I feel privileged that I was able to hold him and kiss him and just read to him and do whatever I could do. So I used to go for regular checkups, maybe once a week, because I had preeclampsia at the time, so they were just keeping a close eye on me. And I had just went for a scan on the Friday, and then that Friday night I started to get really sharp pains in my side. On the Sunday I turned to my partner and I said, I think Noah's gone. And he said, no, don't be silly. And we tried to get him to kick, but there was no movement. So then on the Monday then I had another appointment, and my dad was bringing me up this time because I didn't drive at the time. And on the way up I seen a double rainbow, and I just knew then that Noah was no longer with me. I had a feeling, and then I went in to be scanned, and the girl was scanning for ages and couldn't find anything, and then said, oh yeah, I think I found something, but I'm just going to get a girl to, the girl that always scans me, to come and have a look. And so we went down to a different room, and I said to her on the way down, I don't think that was Noah's heartbeat, I think that was mine. And she goes, oh, we'll see now, and trying to keep me calm. And then so we went down, and she goes to me, we looked at the scan, but it was completely different. Like the screen was just blank and there's no lifeless, and I just knew as soon as I seen it, I said, "He's gone, isn't he?" And she turned around and said to me, "Yeah, he's gone." And then with that, I just bursted out crying. And I was in the room by myself, so I had to then go out and tell my dad that Noah was after passing, and we had to come back up then that evening and go home. But it's actually funny because I was so determined. I made my dad bring me shopping because I wanted to get Noah a little bracelet and wanted to just get like a few little bits to have in the room and make it a bit special, I suppose. So we did that, and then I went home and I rang my mum. My dad rang my mum on after I told him the news, and so he went home. But I just remember coming in the door and just getting into my mum's arm and just breaking down and crying.
Oh, that was very hard now, and especially when I was up with Yvonne, went up with Yvonne to have her scan, been told that, it's better to hear, that you're going to have a healthy baby. And what Yvonne had to hear that day, it was heartbreaking. And like I wish I could, change things for her, and I couldn't. But all I had to do was trying to be there for her. And to get news like that, there's no words to explain it.
I was 19 at the time, and that was my firstborn and their first grandchild. So it's something you never imagined that will ever happen to you, I suppose, and then until it does, because I was so naive when I was younger. Like, you wouldn't really hear of many people having babies who are sick, like maybe Down syndrome or something, but I never really heard of anything. So I used to be so naive when I was younger. I used to think you just got pregnant and had your baby, like never heard of anyone really losing them. So it was a big shock. Having Noah was the best thing that ever happened to me. Like, he's always going to be my firstborn, and he's the person who made me a mammy, and like nothing will ever take that away from me. Like, even going on to have Ayla, like I like to say that just because I'm a young mum, it doesn't define the love I have for my kids, and love shouldn't be defined by someone's diagnosis. Like, these kids they come into the world and they teach you so much. Like, they definitely do have a story to tell, and they're amazing. Like, Noah gave me the strength. Like, I wouldn't have the strength I do today. I wouldn't be the mum I am to Ayla without going through what I did with Noah. One thing I'll say is that you'll never find a parent who had a child who was stillborn, or even someone who had a child with special needs, that they regret their decision to carry that child, because it's just a bond, a love that's like no other. It's sometimes you feel like you don't have the strength to go on, but it's like they just give you, their strength comes out of them and they just give it to you. Like, it's the advice I'd give to other parents who are going through what maybe I did one time is stay away from Google. Find accounts like Every Life Counts, Soft, wherever you need to find your people, because back then, like, I didn't really know about any of these things, but now that the years have went on, like, I have some incredible supports, and it's like, it means so much to have people that you can go and talk to, and never be afraid to reach out. Like, for me, I suppose I was afraid to talk about it a little bit, but then when I was after I had Noah, there was girls and they came up to me and they were saying, "Oh, I had a miscarriage," but I never told anyone. And then there was mothers who said, "Oh, I had a stillborn, but he was taken straight off me, or she was, and I never saw them," and stuff like that. So as a mum, to me, I just wanted to for the other mothers who never did, I wanted to share our story and show that it's okay to talk about your baby, and you should never be ashamed of having a baby with a disability or having a stillborn, because at the end of the day, they're still your child, and nothing's ever going to change that, and no one can ever take that away from you. No matter, you're going to get silly comments like, "Oh, you're young, you'll have another one," or at the end of the day, it is such a hard thing to do, and it shapes you into a different person. Like, you're not the same person you were before, but it definitely makes you a better person, and I have more patience and understanding, and I'm probably a bit more kinder to people now than I once was as well. It's just unimaginable. It's just amazing. Like, you think it's so sad, and it is sad, but at the end of the day, it's such a blessing then as well to be able to carry these babies, and to be able to love them, because It does take a special kind of love, I suppose. But, you know, it's the greatest joy that you can ever have, is to have a child, and it doesn't matter what diagnosis they have. It's just all they need is love, and that's all we can give them, and just support them. And there's no greater joy for me than to give Ayla and Noah the love that I have, because I had so much in my heart. And I remember when after I had Noah, I didn't want another child to replace Noah. I just wanted another child because I had so much love in my heart to give. So that's why I wanted another little baby. So Noah granted me my wish then.